Hey guys, Scott here, a day late with my first impressions of all the new content on the PTB. I played with and against her for about 5 hours. And overall, I think she is pretty interesting. She is kind of fun to play. Her skill cap seems a little bit on the lower side, though, so it doesn't seem like a killer that you're going to spend a lot of time mastering, like Billy or something like that. So it'll be definitely better for newer players, but this feels like there's not too much to have to like learn there, though. So I actually think I have a pretty good idea of balancing wise how she is. And overall, yeah, she's not super strong. I'm kind of glad that they didn't make another, short range anti loop killer because that's what they've been kind of doing for a while now. But she needs a bit more power in the chase. But first, let's start with her perks, and we'll go over the survivor perks as well. Usually I make two separate videos, but since I was a day late, let's just do them both in one video. The first book, the Scourge Hook, Floods of Rage. To me, this is just worse than Barbecue and Chili in almost every way. Barbecue and Chili does not require a Scourge Hook. It can work on every single hook, and it can show up to 3 survivors on the map, which is a lot of information. This one requires a Scourge Hook, and it will show everybody, but it's when they are unhooked. They have to be unhooked from that. So when you think about it, it's kind of redundant, because when a survivor is getting unhooked, you already know where half of the team is, because one person's unhooking them, and one guy was just on the hook. So at the very most, you're getting 2 reveals, whereas Barbecue and Chili can give you 3 reveals. And Barbecue and Chili doesn't have a Scourge Hook requirement. So when I compare it to that, it kind of seems a bit antiquated, and I would rather just use Barbecue. The only time it's going to be better is if everyone is in close range of you, but you also don't know where they are. So it can be useful. I don't really think it's a bad perk. I would just rather use Barbecue and Chili because also double blood points. That just seems like a no-brainer. So I don't think the Scourge Hook is particularly good because it happens when you unhook. If it was like when you hook everybody or something like that, that would make it a more powerful Barbecue and Chili, but it would be relegated to Scourge Hooks instead, and that would make a lot more sense. But the fact that it's based on the unhook, it's redundant because you already know where 2 people are when it happens, so it's kind of meh. Call of Brine. Some people saying this perk is going to be pretty decent. I think the perk is okay. It's not bad, actually, but it involves kicking generators. And kicking generators is almost always a bad idea. Usually you can be doing something better. Pressuring people off generators instead, or getting chases or downs, going back to hooks. There's lots of other things you can do that are better than going to a generator and kicking them for how quickly they regress. So it's going to be regressing at 200% speed, which means it's going to be basically half a second for every second they've been working on it. Now, if you look at a perk like Pop Goes the Weasel, which also involves kicking a generator, Pop Goes the Weasel removes 20 seconds of progress from a gen, because that's 25% of the 80 seconds it takes to do a generator. So that's going to be 20 seconds. Now, with this perk, the gen has to be regressing for 40 seconds to meet Pop Goes the Weasel. So if you think that you're going to be able to have that gen safely regress for 40 seconds, which there are scenarios that can be possible. If it's in a corner of the map and one guy's hooked here and one guy's going to save, if you've got that knowledge, then you might actually beat Pop Goes the Weasel's efficiency there. But I feel like Pop is just going to give you more value on average. You shouldn't be kicking gens that much anyway. And Pop has an immediate 20-second removal as opposed to having to wait for 40 seconds to get more value from this perk. So overall, is it bad? No, but I personally won't use it. I hate kicking gens. I don't even like using Pop, but at least I think Pop is better. So nothing says you can't combine the two, though. So overall, it's not bad. I don't think I'm going to use it, but it's not bad. Merciless Storm is a complete meme. This is the one when a gen gets to 90%, you get those constant skill checks. They're very easy to hit. The only thing I could possibly think of is like having Tinker and sneaking up on someone while they're focusing on the skill checks. But within a game or two, I learned to pan my camera while it was happening, and someone tried that and it didn't work. So the thing is, the gen blocking effect is redundant. Because if you're combining Tinker with it and you get there just as it hits 90 and then you scare him off the gen, well, they weren't going to be working on the gen for the next 16 seconds anyway. So it doesn't really matter that it's blocked for 16 seconds because you're pursuing them with Tinker, who was going to be working on the gen. So the whole perk is terrible. There's pretty much no reason to use it. What about Impossible Skill Check Doc? Okay, if you want to play Doctor with Unnerving Presence and Distressing and just for that one scenario, then enjoy. It happens once per gen, so enjoy, I guess. For the Survivor perks, Parental Guidance, this perk I probably am the most scared of out of any of the new perks. Whenever you stun the killer, your grunts of pain, your scratch marks, and your blood are hidden for 10 seconds. You basically get an on-demand lucky break, which can be very good when you're creative with it. For example, if you have Smash Hit or something, you can get away. Now stunning people and blinding even good killers at pallets. They will now not have any sound. They won't have any visuals. They won't have any scratches. So actually blinding even good killers at pallets might actually become useful. When head on, you can just be completely disappeared after the sun is over. With Decisive Strike, you're gone. I can think of a lot of really good uses of Parental Guidance, and I think it's probably the best perk they've released in this whole patch. So that perk is actually scary, and I think that's going to get a lot of people away from chases they normally would not have escaped. Empathetic connection, it's basically reverse empathy. So injured teammates see your aura instead of you seeing the injured teammate's aura. It's pretty cool. You heal a little bit faster too. If you're a fan of those information perks, I can't say it's bad. It's certainly not a meta perk or anything, but it's not bad. Boon Dark Theory is a terrifying perk because it involves the haste status effect, which is the scariest thing to change in the entire game. Base movement speeds are very scary to change. Luckily, it's only 2%. 2% is very rarely even going to get you around a lupus an additional time, so I don't think it's going to be very useful. But if they buff it to like 4% or something, then surprisingly, it will become too strong. It's a very delicate perk to have. You need to be so careful with those types of perks, but I'm glad they erred on the side of it being low because I don't see it being super useful right now. Now, combined with circular healing and stuff like that, it's certainly going to make an area a lot stronger, but overall, I'm not super worried about it unless they buff it. And then if they do, fuck. Yeah. So, now, the actual killer herself. Onryo, I believe is how you actually say it. It is, or she is, not that good. She doesn't have any chasing power whatsoever. I tried being creative with cloaking and uncloaking. I tried teleporting the things mid-chase. When you teleport to one of her TVs, it's very loud and it's very directional, so you know exactly which TV she's teleporting to. Now, when I had the add-on that makes it so you go faster after teleporting, sometimes I could use that. It basically put me at a neutral. I would teleport to something they were running to. They'd hear me teleporting and you can't really cancel it, so they would start running the other direction, but then I get a big speed boost and I'd be at the same spot again. So nothing really ever happened. There were a couple of times where people that didn't really understand that it's directional got caught off by it, but I promise it's going to change very fast. I was able, within one game, to start realizing when I played against her, you can pinpoint exactly where she's teleporting. There is an add-on she has that makes it global, so it always plays on every single TV. That actually is a bit confusing, and it does afford some type of confusement. It does make people a bit confused, and it might end up getting you something, maybe. But for the most part, you can't really teleport mid-chase to get hits because of how clear the directional audio is, so that doesn't really work. Phasing and rephasing during a chase is sometimes okay on like some shitty loops. Like the passive phasing like Spirit has can occasionally screw a survivor up, but you also have to uncloak to be able to hit them, and when you're uncloaking, you do slow down. I saw a lot of people saying you don't slow down. You definitely slow down. It's not that much, though. It's probably only like 5%, maybe 10%. You definitely don't slow down that much, but you do slow down. So anything that you might have made up with that little like confusion because you're passive phasing is probably going to be lost by the fact you have to uncloak. That being said, she is a little confusing when she's in that form. And if you play her like a stealth killer, well then yeah, you're going to probably get a pretty easy first hit. And I found that playing against her and playing as her, I was able to get easy first hits pretty frequently. But once that happens, then you just don't really have much. Even Wraith has the speed boost to try to whip around a loop. He's got something to do in a chase. Myers and Ghostface, they can be out of your terror radius, tier 3 you, down you before you even have a chance to react. So they have a way to avoid a chase entirely. This killer doesn't really have that. Her chase potential is basically non-existent. She doesn't have any chase power whatsoever. So in that regard, I think she is a bit on the weaker side. Now, she also has this condemnation feature where basically every time she teleports near a TV and there's a survivor within 60 meters, they get a stack of condemnation. If they get 7, then you can instantly kill them, which is an extremely powerful effect. But it is not like Pig's traps, where it's a powerful effect you have to remove or you just die. This you can pretty much just ignore. There was never really a scenario playing against her that I ever had to worry about it. I just completely ignored the mechanic entirely. To have to teleport on someone 7 times is pretty ridiculous. Now, there are certain add-ons and builds that make it so you can increase this amount. But even then, you have to focus someone down specifically and kind of throw the game just to tunnel one guy, which you can do with Pig and Amanda's Letter and all that stuff anyway. So if you want to ruin one guy's day, you can actually use the condemnation mechanic to actually kill people. It just never ends up actually being worth it in terms of winning the match. So it's definitely, it's pretty much a meme. The one time I did get condemned, I still got out. It didn't matter. The one time I got condemned is because I just picked up a tape to see what it would do, because I just wanted to see what happened. And then I ran around with the tape for a bit, and then I ran to a TV, which she also teleported to. So it seems like you have to actively try to get the maximum stacks of the condemnation to be in the insta-kill territory, which, I mean, yeah, it's pretty much an afterthought, unless they build specifically around it, at which point that they're not really having much map pressure or anything like that. So overall, I don't think the condemnation mechanic is something anyone will really ever have to worry about. And even if you do have to worry about it, if you're getting to 5 stacks, you can pick up a tape and just shove it in. It takes 2 seconds to put it in the actual TV. So hell, even if she's chasing you, you can probably get hit and put it in while she's recovering from her attack and still not get one shot. So it's still not really a threat at all. So overall, killer with a very good amount of map control. Her teleporting to TVs is rapid fire. You can check 5 points in the map within 15 seconds, which is really, really nice. So her map knowledge and map control is excellent. Unfortunately, she just has nothing to really close out a chase or really even start one to begin with. Because even like, Wraith doesn't have an indication that he's nearby other than the snarling when he's right next to you. But this killer, there's a specific musical chime that happens when she's in range of you. And then once she's within 32 meters, you can just see her on and off. So it's not even like Wraith where it's significantly harder to detect like where they are. You can just straight up see her. So she definitely does not seem very strong. I would put her on high C tier or low B tier if I did tier lists, which I don't, but I know people like hearing that. Unless there's some mystical thing I have not figured out yet, which I can't see happening because, like I said, she's very simple killer. There's not much to her. The only thing I can think of is there's some condemnation exploit or loophole that I'm not realizing, so I'll open my mind to the possibility of that. But any of the advanced things you could do, like teleporting to TVs mid-chase to throw them off, it doesn't work against even decent players that have a headset. Manifesting and demanifesting in chases, you end up losing the distance. Remanifesting to actually hit people, even though the kind of ghost effect does possibly get you a bit closer. So yeah, she's... I actually enjoyed playing her, but she's, in terms of strength, a little underwhelming, and I'm not sure we'll see any buffs, but yeah, that is it. Those are my first impressions. Obviously, these can change. These are not concrete or anything like that, so please don't take it as that. But at first glance, she does seem to be not particularly strong. But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.